Two lightweight titans are set to face each other for a second time, 5 years after their first encounter on the 29th of July 2023. Two lightweights who have stood at the top of their division for almost a decade. We're talking, of course, about Dustin, the Diamond Poirier, and Justin, the Highlight Gaethje. After their first bout, some may say that history is bound to repeat itself. However, both fighters are vastly different from when they first stepped in the cage together. So in today's video, we'll be covering everything you need to know about the first fight, as well as anything worth knowing about their second upcoming bout on the 29th of July. And make sure you stay until the end of the video to find out how these two men have had two of the most incredible fights ever seen in combat sports, having been involved in the most grueling and hard to watch fights ever seen in the cage. On the 14th of April 2018 in Glendale, Arizona, Poirier and Gaethje faced off for the first time as the headline for a UFC on Fox event. Proceeding up to the fight, Poirier had just come off an incredible submission win against Anthony Pettis, winning Fight of the Night for his performance. Gaethje, while also winning a Fight of the Night, would suffer a devastating knockout from a knee by Eddie Alvarez, putting him out cold 4 minutes into the third round. Poirier had momentum on his side going into the fight, coming off a win. Gaethje would have the opposite, still being shaken by his previous loss, which was the first of his professional mixed martial arts career. No doubt affecting him both physically and psychologically leading up to their encounter. Beginning the fight, round 1, 2 and 3 would be true to form for both Poirier and Gaethje. Poirier would be on the hunt for Gaethje's chin, looking for combinations to help land his straight punches and snappy hooks and uppercuts. Gaethje throwing heavy leg and calf kicks, as well as his usual wild haymakers and overhand. After 3 rounds, many would have Poirier having secured both first and third round, and Gaethje with the second round. Late into the third round, Gaethje would have a point reduced due to an eye poke, making tensions even higher, and the pressure for him to get a stoppage all the more important. Entering the fourth, Gaethje would continue picking apart Poirier's legs, landing heavy leg kicks throughout. However, the damage he had been taking throughout the fight would begin to catch up with him. Poirier would continue to land clean shots on Gaethje, as Gaethje swung wildly, attempting to find Poirier's chin. And as the round went on, Poirier would continue landing, dazing and wobbling Gaethje throughout. Poirier and Gaethje stumbling and falling over repeatedly, eventually leading referee Herb D to step in and call the fight. Following the fight, both fighters would go on very impressive win streaks in the lightweight division, having their only 2 losses be to someone who many consider to be the greatest of all time, Khabib Nurmagomedov, and recent superstar Charles Oliveira, both times in a fight for the title. Since Dustin's win over Justin, he has amassed wins over Eddie Alvarez, Max Holloway, Dan Hooker, Conor McGregor, and most recently Michael Chandler. Meanwhile, Gaethje attained wins over Tony Ferguson, ending his 12-fight win streak, Michael Chandler, and Rafael Fiziev most recently. Both fighters have changed drastically since their last encounter, Justin Gaethje especially, as he developed further in his career. The initial flaws which lost him his first fight against Poirier started to disappear, becoming much more patient and selective with his shot, which became evident in his later fight. Poirier has reminded with his boxing style of fighting, having just refined it. The fight appears to bring a new and improved Gaethje, looking to get his revenge on a more refined Poirier, and it could go either way. In a second, we're going to tell you how these two men have produced some of the bloodiest fights seen in MMA, but before we do, we'd like to announce the winner of our monthly shout out. So a huge shout out to Jeremy Beatty. Thanks for subscribing and commenting. We really appreciate your support. And if you want to be in with a chance of winning our monthly shout out, all you have to do is comment "I sub" down in the comment section below, and you'll be in with a chance to win. Now, back to the video. These two men have been involved in 2 of the bloodiest fights ever seen in the octagon, and they both happened within a short distance of time between each other. Starting with Dustin Poirier, one of the most incredible battles seen in the cage would be Poirier versus Dan the Hangman Hooker, as on the 27th of June 2020, the two men fought a 5-round war. The aftermath of the fight left both men in horrific states needing medical attention, and in fact, the fight ended up winning the Fight of the Year in 2020, and it's fair to say that the men who stepped in the octagon were different when they stepped out. But just 2 months before that, in the same year, Gaethje would have not a too dissimilar fight. However, it would be much more one-sided, as in one of the hardest to watch fights in mixed martial arts took place on the 9th of May in 2020 for the interim lightweight belt. Justin Gaethje and Tony Ferguson would meet in the octagon, and only one would leave how they entered. And unfortunately for Tony Ferguson, it wouldn't be him. Justin Gaethje put on an incredible performance and showed immense growth as he was being very selective with his shot, and in perhaps one of the most shocking moments in combat sports, late in the 5th round. Having absorbed countless shots, Ferguson simply turned around and shook his head, which led the referee stepping in and stopping the fight. And to this day, the Tony Ferguson we see in the cage has never been the same. What Justin Gaethje did to Ferguson shows the level of violence that Gaethje is capable of, and acts as a warning for anyone who dares to step in the cage with him. The two fights stand out as difficult to watch as in the midst of the pandemic. Crowds were not allowed, leaving all the punches and kicks landed to be heard by those watching at home, as well as every grunt and yell. And now that we know what both of these fighters are capable of, it leaves doubts as to who will come on top on July 29th, and whether it will be a war between Poirier and Gaethje, or if one fighter will come on top to dominate the other. As usual, we want to hear your thoughts for the fight in the comments section below, so make sure to tell us what you think. Thanks for watching today's video, and we'll see you next time. Goodbye.